Introduction to the ongoing crisis. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has drawn significant international attention, especially in the context of humanitarian crises. As highlighted by Mossab Hassan Youssef, a key point of concern is the apparent lack of support from neighboring Arab countries for Palestinian refugees amidst the violence in Gaza. Youssef draws a stark comparison between the response to the Russian-Ukrainian war and the treatment of Palestinian refugees. Millions of Ukrainians were welcomed by various European nations, despite cultural and linguistic differences. In contrast, Arab nations, which share language, faith, and cultural ties with Palestinians, have not opened their borders to those fleeing Gaza. This disparity raises questions about the nature of Arab solidarity and the motivations behind the lack of action. Youssef argues that many Arab leaders exploit the Palestinian plight for their own political gain, suggesting that a prolonged conflict serves their interests. He emphasizes that some regimes depend on the victimization narrative to maintain power and distract from domestic issues. The suffering of Palestinians, therefore, becomes a tool for regional destabilization rather than a humanitarian concern. Youssef's critique extends to the leadership of Arab nations, asserting that corruption and self-interest prevent meaningful assistance to Palestinians. He highlights how leaders are more focused on maintaining their regimes than on resolving the conflict or aiding their neighbors. This critique is particularly directed at Saudi Arabia and the UAE, where he perceives a disconnect between their international relations and the Palestinian cause. The video also discusses the influence of superpowers like Russia and China in the region. Youssef points out that these nations have not condemned Hamas's actions, suggesting that their interests align with the continuation of the conflict. The intertwining of regional and global politics complicates the situation further, as the suffering of innocents becomes collateral damage in a larger geopolitical game. Youssef advocates for a radical reevaluation of the approach to the conflict, including potential relocation for those unable to coexist peacefully with Israel. He suggests that instead of funding Palestinian factions, the international community should consider more sustainable solutions, such as providing opportunities for Palestinians to rebuild their lives elsewhere. His perspective emphasizes the need for a practical approach to a seemingly intractable conflict, highlighting the urgency of addressing the humanitarian crisis without further perpetuating cycles of violence.